All right, good to go. All right, so for those of you that don't know me, my name is Daniel Fisher. I am a senior software developer, Unity, C Sharp with 3D Media, and I guess I'm going to do this post-mortem on the ITSEC and the Iron Dev competition. A couple of little things I did this year. It was actually pretty fun, something I've never really done before. So, yeah, let's go ahead. So I'm not going to go over all these different paragraphs. Anybody that's ever sat through one of my talks, you knows I just put that on there so you guys can read it. Um, but it's the Inter-Service Industry Training Simulation and Education Conference. It's one of the largest ones in the country. So it's pretty cool. You go out there. There's a lot of different vendors from everybody from, like I said, Boeing, Unity. Uh, all showcasing prototypes and demoing actual finished products for simulations and training portions in the military and different government aspects as well as different commercial uses. So it's a it'd be kind of hard to go over each one of these. So I will share the whole slideshow afterwards. With that being said, it's pretty much a big conference for training and simulations. Everybody gets together, they pitch products, they show products, and it's networking at its finest. A lot of the vendors that I saw there and talked with, like I was saying a minute ago, Unity, Boeing, Florida Tech Grove was there, Bad VR was there, we were there, Haptics, and I just can't name them all. There's so many of them. There was a lot of cool stuff, and the reason I'm touching on this again is because I'm going to talk more about it in the next slide where all the pictures are. I don't want to spend all my time talking about what ITSEC is because you can pretty much Google that. You can Google the Iron Dev. So we'll just kind of fly through this. Uh, but yeah, there was a lot of very cool prototypes and stuff there on site. If you look to the left here, obviously that's Spot the dog. That was really cool. We learned a few things at the Unity booth. That's where they had him. We all thought he ran a specific way, but he doesn't. He does have machine learning in him, but that's not how he operates. He operates off of the Unity. What is it? The objective system. It's crazy how they said he works. As well as if you look here, if you guys can see my cursor, I don't know if you can or not, but in the bowl, there's that green bone. They said they could hide that green bone anywhere in the building and Spot would find it. He would track it down and he would find it. And it wouldn't be he'd go directly to it. He'd go through certain stages to find it. And that was just awesome. If you look in the one here in the third picture from the left, that was to me that was really cool. This big screen there to the left is it's like the screen to I guess you'd call it a video game, but it's flight simulation training inside of there. And inside, if you look closely, you could probably see the guy inside of that gyroscope inside of there. The actual scope moves with the training on screen. So yeah, I thought that was extremely cool. And then as well over here on the far right, those are the haptics gloves. You plug them into the VR headset, and you can actually feel and move those hands and feel everything you're grabbing through the gloves. Yeah, that was pretty awesome too. Any quick questions over ITSEC? Because, like I said, I didn't want to spend a lot of time on it because Iron Dev is pretty much the majority of this.
Intrigued by Spot. So he actually runs on Unity?
Yes, Unity runs Spot. And that's what blew my mind when I saw that.
Never would have guessed that.
No, and if you look on if you look on his head, you can see the Unity stickers. I think he's created by Boston Dynamics, the actual robotics, but Unity is the software that runs him. So that was something to look forward to. You guys will be able to program Terminators in the future. All right, so move along. All right, so the Iron Dev competition. We'll break this down a little bit. What is it? It's A competition, kind of like you see Iron Chef and stuff like that. It's a competition held with inside of the ITSEC conference. Now, there's a bunch of nominations for teams. They select 4 teams. The 4 teams have from the start date, which this year was November the 2nd, until the 29th of November to get a functioning prototype done. And then they have from the 29th to the 2nd to add the secret ingredient, which could be anything that the judges and the uh, Iron Dev personnel come up with. And then you have those few days to implement that into your solution for the issue. Now, they give you a solution or something, a question to give a solution to. Um, this year, which we'll go over the next slide, but it was pretty much just military based. The secret ingredient, which we'll get in the next slide, was pretty funny, and I'll talk more about that. But they had 3 awards. The awards were for the best overall solution, the most innovative solution, and the People's Choice Awards. With the People's Choice Award, the conference actually got a link. I can't remember what it was through, and they voted. So that was pretty cool in my opinion. It reminded me of American Idol. The challenge, like I said, was focused on a lot of the real challenge is accelerating innovative AR VR solutions inside of the training industry. This, like I said, this year was focused on military and stuff. So you can see here, these are the different, I guess, topics or themes that you could intertwine within your solution, or you could just have one for the solution, or you could have none for the solution if you really wanted to. But we tried to incorporate every little bit we could into there. Uh, anyway, the special ingredient was unforeseen futuristic events and the approach. It was kind of funny because we did not know anything about this, and our whole project started out in the future. So when they gave us the secret ingredient, when we got there, we kind of smiled and giggled because we were already there. So it just the way things worked out was pretty funny. All right. So are there any questions about the Iron Dev competition itself? I mean, I know there's not a lot in here, but I kind of want to reach out to everybody. I know you probably share the video, so. Nobody? All right. So a wonderful team consisted of members of the company that I work for, 3D Media. I was the team lead on the project, and then Miss Natalie was the assistant lead, and then Jordan and Rakeem were our junior developers on the team. And that's kind of what they were looking for. They were looking for a team that was mixed between skill sets, and they wanted a diverse team, and that's kind of what I guess what got us selected. We were a mix of a little more senior people and a little more junior people, and then our skill sets varied between each person. So it kind of meshed well, very well, honestly. So let's get into the solution. Our solution for the problem that we came up with was a tactical command decision making risk assessment uh, trainer scenario. So we came up with the name Situational Awareness Risk Assessment, SARA for short. Our focus was on operational risk management and data retrieval from the different sectors that are associated with a command center inside of a military operation. So each sector, which when I do the demonstration, it'll come more into play. Each sector gets different types of data and relays it to the command center. And then from there, the commander makes his command decisions based on the input that's coming in. Now, inside of each different sector is a training environment for that sector, as well as for the data retrieval and pumping it up to the command center. So there was a lot of different things that played into our solution. Now, like I said, once it was complete, which we didn't flesh it 100% out, obviously not in 20 days or so, because that's not enough time to flesh something out of that magnitude. What we did, show placeholders and stuff of that nature for each portion. So like in certain sectors, we have video textures that incorporate and show what we were talking about, digital twins in some sectors and stuff of that nature that if finished or when finished could produce the results that we're waiting for. Now, one thing that we were incorporating into it is that real-time data. So either they could train and create artificial data, or maybe in the future they could bring back real-time data and then run the data through the sectors and then bam, decision making, send back to the battlefield, done, good to go. So not only would it be a trainer, but it could also be an actual tool, real-time tool. Now, are there any questions on the solutions before we go into biggest issues, kudos, and all that good nonsense? All right, so we'll push forward. All right, so biggest issues, one of them was timeline, obviously. And then also the way, also the way that everything played into each other. I had just gotten back from Armed Forces Jam, and then the rest of the team was working on company projects. I'm trying to watch what I say. The rest of the team was working on company projects. And so it started out with once I got done with my work, I had to work on it. And then the team just filtered in. Now, it did fall into place towards the end, but there at the beginning was really rough. One of the big ones, scope creep. We wanted to add more, and you can see that just from the different solution topics that are in there. We wanted so much more, but we weren't going to achieve that within that 20. There's no way. Another issue is everybody's favorite, repository issues. I think that gives everybody a problem. I don't really think there'll ever be a way where we can have a system where there's no issues ever. So until then, that's just always going to be an issue. And then, of course, Unity, usual Unity nonsense. And we all have had those aches and pains where you might switch a version or they might update a package and now everything's changed. And it's just, we all know the headache. Are there any questions on the issues before we go into the kudos?
I got a quick question, actually.
Yes, yes, sir.
When it comes to repository, is there any kind of like lessons learned for next time? Like, if you could do it all over again, what would you do differently of getting like Git repos and stuff set up right?
Well, for the Git repos, see, a lot of people don't implement a check-in, check-out system. And so when that's not done and everybody's working, so let's say somebody's working on a scene, another person's working on that same scene, somebody pushes something, somebody pushes something else. Well, that somebody that pushed before, if that other person was working on the same portion, is now going to conflict and override each other. When a check-in, check-out system just completely obliterates that. But on the back end of that, okay, now you can't have multiple people working on the same thing because somebody's got it checked out. The other person can't fool with it. So when it comes to a repo, I mean, we got to use them obviously, but it's just a pain in the butt, and it always will be. Always has been.
Yeah, Unity just phased out their collaborate tool to use plastic SCM that does have that check-in, check-out system.
Mm-hmm. So but like I said, everything, and it's just like everything else we do when we're developing stuff or we're doing something, making a game, making a model, VFA, whatever. we're always going to have our little hiccups here and there, and I mean, it's just something I know I've learned to deal with. I might cuss and beat my head into the keyboard, but like I said earlier, the Unity nonsense is, hey, we updated the package. Okay. It's just what we got to do. All right, so we'll move into some kudos. All right, so some of the kudos, obviously, and it kind of did help with the repository, was we kind of worked in intervals. So like I said, I started off. I got a lot of the environment, all of the the XR rig, all that stuff set up, the project set up, all that good stuff, and then Natalie came in and worked her magic, and then Jordan came in and worked his magic, and then Rakeem came in and worked his magic, and then there towards the end, everything just came together. So we actually didn't have to have any crunch. And I think one of the reasons for that, and I see it a lot of times, and it's not bad. It's one of those things. A lot of the people on the team have a lot of different experience. So when it came to certain things, and we found what each person was good at, you don't have to research and look this up, and look that up. So that saves time and makes everything a lot better. The presentation at the conference. Now, obviously, we were all extremely, extremely nervous, hearts beating out of our chests, scared to death. But when it came time to get up there and actually talk, there were no issues. And it was weird because like I said, a lot of you guys know me personally and know that I do not like to stand in front of people. And it's just like a light switch clicked off and it was over with, man. And that's with the rest of everybody else too. Another thing was we didn't have to show anything through the editor. By the time it was time for the presentation, we popped the build out, and the build was perfect. Especially showcased everything we want, which I'm going to run the demonstration this evening on the build. As well as we actually got a staff sergeant from the Army and a sergeant major from the Marine Corps that sat down with us for a few meetings and gave us a lot of advice as far as how things should run, what sectors should grab what, what we should display on the screens and stuff of that nature to kind of help to convey our point. Now, there is one thing you will see when I do the demonstration. We did have one of the things we were going to implement as far as the futuristic approach was we have a hamster in there, and his name is Captain Nibbles. All right. And this is a team effort, and I won't lie, I was 100% against Captain Nibbles, but the team wanted it, so we put it in there, and it actually struck a chord with the audience. So kudos to the team for that. That's something I didn't have on the slide, but I'm going to put that out there because I don't know, I'm more of a serious type, and just that little bit of humor actually added to the presentation. Now, the methodology behind him though was we were going to put a machine learning algorithm in there, and we were just going to kind of play with it a little bit, and just to show that we were going to translate the little squeaks and squirks. We were going to show that we were going to translate with machine learning like a language translator and stuff. So, but we didn't get that far. That's one of those scope creep issues that we had. Any questions on the kudos? All right, we'll move on. All right, so the demonstration, I'm going to stop the actual slideshow, and we'll come back to that slide. Let's see. And let me make sure. I'm going to get everything set up first. Yeah, I gotta put this headset over my over my earphones. And it should show. I'm really hoping it does. Now we did a PC VR for the time being. One of the actual parts of the presentation that we had actually told was that we wanted to go more mobile with it, but with that, at the time we had, there's no way we could optimize all the different assets to make it to where we could port it to the Android system on the Oculus. So that's something I probably should have put in there, but I forgot. My bad. All right, so let's run it. All right, can you guys see it?
Yep.
Okay, so I don't know if you guys could hear what she was saying there. All right, so the hamster's talking now. But I'll wait for a second. Now, I did the animations in the hands and stuff, and actually did those in Unity. I thought that was pretty cool. Anyway, so there's Captain Nibbles. Now, this is the actual scenario room. This is where everything takes place as far as the command decisions and stuff of that nature. But I'm going to go through the sectors real quick. So you have Sector 1. Inside of Sector 1, this is your administration and stuff of that nature. Now, obviously, this would be all your paperwork and stuff of that junk. All right, so War Room, we'll go to S2. This is your intelligence sector. Now, we put a drone footage here on the actual here up on the screen here. Now, this is the digital twin. This was just a show to simulate the digital twin. Now, we didn't do anything further than this inside of here. We obviously didn't have the time. S3 is your operations, and I believe Joel said a minute ago, yes, this is that IED trainer that I did for the Armed Forces Jam, just to simulate the actual operations inside of a combat zone. We've got S4 here. S4 is your actual maintenance and supply. Now, if you look up here, these are some of the products that we are doing now for 3D media. Like I said, we do everything from VR, AR, MR, all that good stuff. And yeah, this is just, we pop that in there because it's showing maintenance and supply and stuff like that. And then, of course, you've got your medical. We just wanted to simulate, maybe something we could do inside of here for, some medical training of that nature, all that good nonsense. Now, here's the actual scenario. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. It's quite long, and we don't really want to go that long. Now, obviously, this is a hostage rescue mission. Now, you got your different options. What do we want to do? View personal phone. So it's based off of the answers that you make to the questions, whether you lose casualties, gain ammo, lose vehicles, stuff of that nature. So it's the operational risk of the battlefield. So we'll just go phone updates. Oh, so we lost 5 people. While you were looking at your phone, one of our ground units were surrounded by the enemy and sustained casualties. Continue. What now, Commander? Request casualty predictions, 9. All right, so we just received intel on 3 possible locations that our HVT could be. However, all 3 compounds are heavily guarded. Fire bomb for effect. Yay! Really? So, we'll just go ahead and end that there. And we'll go. Like I said, it's actually quite long, and I don't think we really want to go there. So, the outcome, I'm just going to leave it on this screen from here. We don't want to start back the slideshow. Can you guys see the slideshow now?
Yep,
Yeah.
that's good.
All right, so the outcome of the Iron Dev competition, it came down to out of the 4 teams, 3D Media and I3 out of Huntsville, Alabama. And I'm going to tell you, I3 is they're legit, man. They're all the guys on the team are good to go, and their presenter, man. I mean, he was like an actor up there on stage, man. So it was crazy, and they deserve it. They got the personal choice and the overall solution. 3D Media, though, we did take the most innovative award for the most innovative VR training simulation. So it was pretty cool. That was the outcome, and like I said, as you can see here, that's, if you look to the left here, that's us up on stage, Natalie, Jordan, and Rakeem. Of course, I'm throwing the Memphis Deuces up, so you know how we do it here. And then, Unity, of course, posted this. So that was the outcome. Now, thank you for listening. Now, are there any questions? I mean, you can see here to the right, if you guys want to see the actual presentation from Iron Dev, just hit me up, and I'll send it to you. It's about 19 minutes long. But most of the assets we got to as well were from the Unity Asset Store, CG Trader, and Turbo Squid. Now that that's out the way, are there any questions, man? What you got for me?
I have a quick
gotta
one.
be something.
If you so like when you were doing the challenge itself, obviously you got most of your assets from pre-made asset store, CG Trader, Turbo Squid. What 3D assets did you have to make on the fly, custom?
So for that, we all right. So I don't know if you would consider that 3D, but the lighting system itself was something we had to do customly. A lot of the UI elements, we did find a bunch, but a lot of that is stuff that we created. All of the props inside of the medical room were created. None of those, except for like the screens. The rest of that stuff was customly created. The XR rig prefabs, those were customly created. Trying to think what there was a lot of other stuff, but most of the environment, as far as like the building itself, that was Unity Asset Store. The model for the military personnel, that was CG Trader, and I believe we got the background asset from space, either from the Asset Store or Turbo Squid. I can't remember, but yeah, a lot of that stuff, like environmental, we had to get from there's, I mean, making that would have been impossible in 20 something days. So but yeah. Any other questions?
Does the
Does that answer?
Yep. I was just like, I'm always curious, like when I see games that were made under time crunch, just like actually, if you could just ballpark, would you say like 70% of the assets were pre-made or bought versus 20% made custom during the challenge? Is that like a round number?
I think it'd be more 65-35, because a lot of that is, if you look at it, like if I was to give you a lot of that stuff you're seeing in there is UI assets.
That makes sense.
So yeah, so because I'm gonna tell you, when I did pop a build out for mobile for it to run, just side quest side loaded into the quest, the quest instantly froze. So that's when we knew we had to go PCVR. But yeah, I'd say more 65-35, and that's another reason why we had to use a lot of the UI assets, was to tone it down a little more, because we started seeing a lot of the hardware starting to act a fool even in PCVR too. So Joel, do you have a question, bud?
yeah? Did you guys have to do any optimization to get your frame rate up, or were you able to get it to work once you put it on PC?
Well, There were some different things. Obviously, tweaking the URP settings. That's something you got to watch out for. We had to watch that because if you go too high, you're going to drop frames. You go too low, you're going to lose frames. We also had to watch, or it's going to look like crap. We also had to watch our textures, and our sprite DPI and resolution. The different things in there that we had to keep in mind, not only when building the UI components and assets, but as well as just looking at the assets we were bringing in. So I think honestly we're kind of on the line with what we've got, but we can always go in and change certain things like texture resolution, stuff of that nature, calm it down some to gain some more of that memory back to be able to run mobily. Does that answer your question, buddy?
Oh yeah.
Now, did you guys get any assets like from the military at all? Like any of that drone footage or anything like that?
The drone footage was from the assistant team lead, Natalie, from her husband. He's actually a drone pilot, so he gave us some non-classified drone footage to put on there. Now, as far as actual stuff, other stuff, because this was done it's still 3D media, but done outside of 3D media, we would have had to sign another NDA, I'm guessing, to get actual military assets. Especially because it wasn't for the company, it was more of a showcase for like ITSEC. So, no, that's the only thing in there.
Cool.
I started to get on a ramble.
I know you mentioned scope creep earlier. So about how much do you guys think you had to end up cutting, like putting on the cutting room floor, like, and how much did you end up implementing? Like maybe 60-70%, or maybe like 50? How much do you think you had to?
All right. So, I'm visualizing the overall project right now, and I'm looking at the inside of it. 1, 2, 3. I'd say we got about 35% of it done. Because each sector is supposed to have a training operation inside of it. So just the videos and stuff, that was just more of a mock-up for us to showcase at the presentation. But in all actuality, we wanted, instead of just that footage up there, to actually go in there, go like I did in that one sector, go to the digital twin, and inside of there, you're actually training flying that drone. Same thing in like medical, you'd go in there and there'd be, now the company does have a surgical app or a medical app, but it was in AR. Saying we were doing VR, so we couldn't bring that in. But, and then like in operations, we couldn't have brought the actual IED trainer that I had in yet because it was still in 3D format. I'd have to port it to VR. So we only really got the scenario one done, the transfer from each room, and we got what we would call the minimal viable product done to showcase what we wanted to show. So yes, 35% is what I would say.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. All right, well, guys, if you ain't got anything else for me, my information is on the screen. You can, you can email me, call me. Like I said, I'll send you that actual presentation, and you can see me being the most positive I've probably ever been in my entire life. Especially for you guys who know me personally. You'll get a kick out of it.
Yeah, I definitely want to watch that thing.
Because I'm smiling, I'm laughing, I'm getting into it, everything.
I don't believe it till I watch it. I bet there's at least a few slip ups in there.
No, no, now you could see in a couple portions where I did, you could tell that I was kind of getting a little nervous, but other than that, that's about it. But all right, man, that's all I got. I appreciate it. Thank you.